Okay, so here we are. I finished everything. I finished the border. I'm about to start with the hemming, and I decided to go with a European hem, which is basically an almost invisible seam. It's kind of like just like a little shadow on the bottom you're gonna see. Basically, you're gonna see just a little tiny, a 1/4 inch, a little border, little hem. Basically, this is what you're gonna see, something like that. We're gonna need a weighted beaded, and this is the one that is gonna go inside the little hem we're gonna make. We're gonna need either a cord foot, and this is a double cord foot for me. I'm using for my Bernina sewing machine. I'm gonna use either left or right side. Or if you don't have the cording foot, you can use a zipper foot. Okay, and what we're gonna do next, basically I'm gonna trace, because my curtain is hanged already. That's why I said this is the best part of doing this hemming. You're gonna get a perfect straight line. You're gonna mark basically where you want your curtain to end. You're gonna mark that. In my case, I'm gonna do it very close to the floor. I'm gonna slowly mark or pin a straight line, and after that I'm gonna figure out how much fabric I need for this cord to be wrapped around. I'm gonna take that in consideration, and I'm gonna cut that extra maybe an inch or so. That's gonna go for the hem. So before I cut everything, I'm gonna do a test. So I'm gonna do a fabric test. Okay, so when you work on the iron board, for example, because this to me is the easiest thing to take back and forth to your, if it's not for yourself, could be for your customer's house. So I'm taking my iron board in and out of the car, very easy. And as you can see how I place my sewing table, my sewing machine, you can see how I place my sewing machine right there on the very right on the iron board. And I left all this left side for the fabric that I can work with, easily spread with, and it's more comfortable to work that way. So put it all the way to the left, then you have a little place for your pins or whatnot, and you have all this left side to comfortable work. I have my foot pedal on the floor, and yeah, this is a good technique I figured out years and years ago, and that's the only way I like to finish my hemming on my custom-made curtains. All my customer knows that already. But let me put this. So what I was telling you, basically, let me change the foot on this machine. By the way, this Bernina is amazing. It's another favorite part in my sewing, another favorite piece in my sewing room. So I have my cording foot right there in place. Now what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna figure out, I'm gonna test this weighted little rope in here. This is purposely designed for the bottom of the curtains. So what this does, it's adding weight. Basically it's weighted, just like it says. You can see probably here is little pieces of metal strip inside, and these things comes in different sizes. So if you're working with a heavier material, fabric, you can probably go with a bigger beaded. This is for sheer fabric. I could go, since this is linen, I could go slightly bigger, but that's all I have for now, so I'm gonna use these. But let's just put this to the test and see how much how much fabric do I really need to be sewing. So hopefully it's gonna be one-step process. Let me just see. I want to put this to the test and see what happened. So you have to do this test every time you have a project like this, because every fabric requires different widths. So you're gonna flip it once, and then you're gonna flip it twice, and you're gonna take it to the rope, to the foot right here. So as you can see, my my little cord is inside on the left side, of the foot. So let's see. This is just a test once again. Hopefully I can do this in just one step. I'm gonna move my needle all the way to the left as well. And no, I don't like the way that. So let me do this other way. I'm moving my cord all the way to the right. Since this rope is a little bit too small, it's gonna take a little bit of adjustment here. I'm gonna make this a two-step process. First, I'm gonna hem this one time, and then after that is done, I'm gonna place the weighted rope, and then I'm gonna flip it, and then I'm gonna sew again. Let's do that. But with that being said, let me see the measurements so far. But if you remember, we were looking how much goes inside, so we know exactly what we cut the bottom of the curtain in. Somewhere there is the bottom of my curtain. So basically what we need to measure is this, to see how much we cut extra. So about 2 centimeters. I'd rather put a little more than less. And that's about so that's about 3/4 of an inch that I need to cut additionally from where I want my so basically this is what I need. That's where our curtain is going to end. And just figure out, we need, in my case, because the thickness of the fabric and the thickness of this little cord is taking me about 3/4 of an inch for this to go inside. So I'm gonna cut my I'm gonna cut the bottom of my curtain now, since I know measurements, and I want my curtain to end right there with the floor. Basically, I'm gonna cut an extra 3/4 of an inch additionally. Okay, so I'm gonna start marking here, and this is my way. This is my technique. Okay, so I figured out as I'm doing this, maybe it's good to tell you a few more things, tips and tricks. So you get yourself comfortable on the floor, sitting on the floor, or get a knee pad or something and get on your knees. But this is what you want to do. You want to lay the excess of your fabric, lay it on the floor, and like I said, make sure you trace with a pencil anything that you can clean after. And about 2-3 inches I'm making a dot, and that is because the fabric tends to move, and when you sew it you don't want to have it wiggly lines. So the more dots you put, the better. And like I said, make sure it stays flat where the naturally folds. Right there you put your mark. Do not do this and then do that, because that's not gonna work. You're gonna have a crooked ham. So keep doing that, and then, like I said, I'm gonna trace one more time, 3/4 of an inch, and that's what I'm gonna cut my line. Now if you want to do a let's say this is, for example, a 4-inch double hem, the previous curtain what I had, of course you're gonna trace your line at 8-inch, because you want a double hem, so you're gonna need 4-inch and 4-inch. Roll it, and then, since we talk about a ham, a good proportional balanced ham is somewhere in between 3 inches to 5-inch max. Don't make it too wide, because it starts looking awkward. So a perfect normal hemming for me is actually a 4-inch, where it's still comfortable to work with and looks good. But these days these European hams are very in, especially when you work with a sheer fabric. It looks the best. But so let me do that all the way to the end, and then I'll see you after. All right, for me the next step is to mark at my 75.75. Make sure you have a straight line with those dots. So since the floors and your ceilings are never straight, you always tend to have at least a 1/2 of an inch difference sometimes, and this is where your adjustments come really handy. So remember, I need a 1/4 of an inch, I'm sorry, a 3/4 of an inch in my case for that European ham. And this is what I'm gonna start marking at my 3/4. Right under that first dot, that's what I'm gonna mark 3/4. And then from there, that's what I'm gonna cut later on. Okay, now I'm about to cut it right on those marks. And what I did, I might make sure it's perfectly straight, kind of stretch it out. Make sure you go with a nice cut right on that, right on the line. Follow those marks. Okay, another step is done, and now I'm gonna take that to my sewing machine and do that one hem once. And look at that, so much better already, so much better. So I'm gonna do that little hem once, and then I come back and insert the weighted beads inside. Alright, so I finished this step. I finished the first step, and this is what it looks like. Okay. Now I'm taking my weighted cord and I'm gonna roll the hem one more time, and I have to change this. I have to change the presser foot for the cord foot. So I'm taking the curtain. I'm gonna leave just a little bit out. I can cut it later, but I need something to hold on. I'm gonna flip it one time, and see, that will bring me right there what I needed for the first mark. That's my floor mark, if you remember. So I'm gonna place this right under the foot. I'm moving my needle just a little bit more to the right. Back and forth. See, this little tail in here is kind of helped me to pull it out. Now this is very critical. Try to stay between those lines. You remember those two between two pencil lines? That's what I'm talking about. Stay between those lines. Go slowly if you have to. At this point, you want to make sure your marks are flat with the edge. So let me show you from this side what I'm doing. It's a different angle. So basically I'm taking a cord and I'm placing it right on the dots on the edge. So I'm helping with my fingers and kind of control it, make sure it falls right in the middle of those dots. So let's do that all the way to the end. And then I'll see. Okay, so this is what we have so far. I just finished all the way to the end. This is what it looks like, and I'm not necessarily crazy about this additional piece in here, so I'm just gonna check that everything is perfectly straight, and then I come back and I do one more seam on this edge to make it a little smaller for my likings. But let's see what we got. Let's see. All right, so let me move this sewing board. It looks perfect. It's just perfect. I could not be happier. So in this case, all right, so it's perfectly straight. Just like I said, follow the first line that you mark, the first dot, and then you're gonna get beautiful results. So in this case, I'm gonna take it back to the sewing table, and so with that being said, I'm gonna do that final hem. Okay, I'm gonna make that roll even smaller. So let's see. So what I'm saying, because even some parts are just a little bit smaller than others, because nothing is perfect, but we're gonna make it almost perfect. So whatever is hanging a little bit more, I'm just gonna roll it and basically just go one more time under this presser foot. So of course you're gonna start it from the very end and see what you can and what you cannot roll, but just go one more time. Again, make sure the rope is on the very edge. What's going on here? Oh, cables out. All right. Looks like I have nothing to roll here. Nothing to roll there, but some other ones are a bigger space.
Okay, now I start to catch this additional fabric.
So this is it, guys. This is it. My European hem is finally done, and this is what I'm gonna do now before I drop it on the floor. I'm holding it here at the edge of that I'm holding the edge of that weighted rope inside, and I'm stretching it and make sure it's nice and stretched, because I don't want no curls. So do that. After you do that a few times, then you can cut the rest of your cord. Okay, do not cut it before you do that, because you're going to end up with a shorter rope inside. And then after that, make sure you cut it right there on the edge. Okay, do not cut your fabric. All right, and that's how you make a perfect European hem. Equally spaced, perfectly measured. Okay, so you can call this three-step hem. Okay, so let's just drop it on the floor and see what happened. Let me move this sewing machine out. Move the sewing machine out of the way. All right, so there we have it. I'm so excited. It came out perfect, and that's how you make a an European hem. Learn it from the European. And by the way, guys, I've been sewing for over 25 years, so this is not the first time I'm doing this or anything. I hope you enjoy my project. So here's the before and after. Basically, you have them next to each other. I'll have to do this other one in a minute, but there you have it next to each other. That's the whole ripple fold drapery here. I'm gonna show you everything when it's all completed. I'm gonna finish the other one, the other panel. Just another tip here. I wish I have a heavier weighted, where is it? There she is. So I wish I had another heavier weighted rope in here, but I had to use what I have. But just a suggestion, you can go with a little thicker than this. This is about half of centimeter. Let me see, in inches, less than a quart thickness. Okay, will be much better. The heavier it is, the better the drape follow the beautiful waves. Now if your fabric is even heavier than this, definitely you have to go with something heavier. This weighted cord I'll suggest for a very light sheer. This is a linen, so I know I should have done it with a heavier one, but once again I didn't have it. So check out my other video if you want to see what I'm doing with a top. I've been sewing for over 25 years, and if you want me to show you something else regarding sewing, please comment below and let me know what video would you want me to make next. This is what it looks like from the outside with the added border. So it's cute from the inside, cute from the outside, basically. Alright guys, so thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoy my video. Just ask all your questions below, and I'll see you soon. Ciao.